What is worship? If you ask 10 people that question, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Today, I'm going to talk about the definition of worship and hopefully give you a fresh perspective. Hello and welcome back to the Worship Life, where we discuss and explore all things worship. Now remember, you don't have to be a worship leader or a worship musician to be a part of this community. In this video, we're diving into the question, what is worship? Now, as I mentioned earlier, there can be a lot of differing opinions on what worship means. Now, what do you think people think of when they hear the word worship? Music, songs, the instruments or band, or the beginning of a church service. This might shock you, but there's not a single word in the Bible for worship that means music. The best place to find the definition of worship is in God's Word. So let's look at that biblical definition. In the Old Testament, the Hebrew word is shakah, which means to bow down. This is the word used in Psalm 95:6. It says, "Come, let us bow down in worship," or shakah. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. In the New Testament, the Greek word is proskuneo, which means to prostrate before, lay down, kiss toward, like blowing a kiss, and adore. We see this word in Matthew 2. The account of the wise men coming to Jerusalem asking about the newborn king because they wanted to bow down and worship or proskuneo him. This act of worship through giving gifts and bowing expressed adoration, honor, and respect. These biblical words for worship were all outward physical expressions. The posture of their body reflected the posture of their heart. So what is worship? It's simple. Worship is love expressed. It's not music, songs, instruments, dancing, or clapping. These are all ways that we can express worship, but they're not the definition. The definition is love expressed. This means that love is communicated. Worship is our response to who God is, what He's done, and what He will do. It's our reciprocation of love because He first loved us. 1 John 4:19. So true worship must have these three things: love, expression, and submission or surrender. One of my dear friends, Pastor Zach Neese, who wrote the book, How to Worship a King, he explains it this way. If you have love, but you don't have expression, then it's not worship. If you have expression, but there's no love, then it's performance. And if you have submission, but no love, then it's just religion. Wow, think about that. We have all been there at some point in our lives where we've had one without the other. But true worship has all three: love, expression, and a submitted heart. Whether you're a worship leader or a musician or a pastor or a believer who attends on Sunday, you need to understand what worship really is. When we see our worship as an expression of love, it changes our perspective and we understand the why behind our worship. We love Him because He first loved us and gave His life for us. It helps us push past our excuses when we don't feel like worshiping. Many of us have heard, love's not a feeling, and it's so true. And remember, you can't give what you haven't received yourself. You can't authentically give or express love to Him if you haven't received His love for you. When you completely believe and completely receive God's love for you, and you take on an identity of a son or daughter of God, you can't help but express love back to Him. You were created to give and receive love. Look what Isaiah 43:21 says. "The people who I formed for myself, that they may proclaim my praise." We were created to worship. It says right here. When we as the church, as believers, understand the true meaning of worship, and we have authentic love, expression, and submission, that's attractive to the world. They see real people worshiping a real God, expressing real love in complete abandonment and surrender. I love what John 4:23 says. Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. Now I want you to ask yourself these questions. What is hindering or holding back my expression in worship? What can I be thankful to God for today in worship? How can I express my love to Him in a deeper way? Now that you know the true definition of worship from God's Word, I pray that this gives you a different perspective so that when you lead worship now, you can lead from a different place. I know we all go through times when it's challenging and sometimes we don't feel like worshiping. But now when you know that it's love expressed and that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, that we can worship Him in spirit and in truth and express our love to Him no matter what we're going through. Thank you for watching today. And don't forget to subscribe and please share this channel with your worship team for more insights and tips. And if you have any topics you'd like to see discussed here at The Worship Life, just leave a comment below. Also, I will include the link for this book. It's one of the best books I've ever read on worship, so make sure that you check that out. And here at The Worship Life, we encourage you to lead boldly and worship passionately. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.